This new home grinder from Eureka, the Specialita UP, is going to be super exciting for a lot of home baristas. But where is it? It's been like 2 years now and it hasn't been released yet. So hopefully it's coming soon. And is it worth the wait? Well, let's check it out. G'day mate, my name's Ryde, your coffee coach, and I want to talk today about the Specialita UP and to talk about my opinions on it and whether it should be worth waiting or whether you should just go and buy the Specialita that's out there now, because all the Eureka Mignon grinders are fantastic. A lot of them in that 55mm burr range, doesn't actually change, and the Specialita UP doesn't have like a huge advancements in it other than around the software. Is that really necessary? How much is it going to cost? All of that. Let's have a look at what the features are on there. Because as far as I'm aware, it's essentially the same housing of the grinder, 55mm burr set, it's a stepless grinder, it's got a 300-gram hopper. Essentially, it's the same grinder. The biggest difference that you'll see straight off the bat is the huge 2.8-inch display, and it's this touchscreen, multicolor touchscreen. That's a huge upgrade from the original one, which I'm not sure the exact size, and it looks about half that size, so I'm thinking it's a 1.4-inch one. And, you know, it doesn't have anything other than just your basic LCD, LED display with your timer where you can change between the single dose and the double dose. So not a lot. This new display has a huge amount of software upgrades on it. And some of these are going to be really important for new home baristas and advanced home baristas as well. Now, yes, as I said, it does have a 300-gram hopper on it. And a lot of advanced baristas want to get into single dosing, and you're probably wondering, why didn't they just make this a single doser or at least have it interchangeable? Well, I reckon they've done their market research, and I certainly know from talking with a lot of my customers in here, they don't want single doses. A lot of people are drinking milk-based drinks still, and they're preparing multiple coffees, and they're not as fussed about that precision. So even though you might be watching this going, no, it absolutely needs to be a single doser, I wouldn't buy anything else, there's a lot of people who are watching it going, I love just being able to put my dose coffee in there and just getting a coffee out and then making a coffee. What I love about the new display is the ability to see the grind size. So this is a stepless grinder. So although you're not going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps, you are going to be able to now see a number which correlates with the burrs. And so when you see 101 or 58 or 210, you know that you're in that range. And so when you need to go back and replicate that, at least you will bring your attention to that number. And that is actually super helpful because, and it's happened here in the cafe as well, just sometimes when you calibrate the grinders, it resets and it's completely out of whack. And then you have to rotate the dial multiple rotations, full revolutions, before you even get close to the range that you were in before. At least by being able to see that number on the display and seeing, okay, I was supposed to be at 50 and now I'm at 150. Okay, I'm way out, so making a couple of adjustments and then grinding that is going to just waste a huge amount of coffee. Now you know I just got to keep going back until that number is close to there, and then I can start there. So it's going to save a lot of people a lot of coffee. However, one thing I just don't understand, and I'm not an engineer, so maybe one of you guys watching can explain this to me, but why aren't we just using microns now? I understand back in the day when we didn't really understand that the precision of coffee in terms of its microns, the size of the particles was very, very important. Yes, you put a number on your grinder and you just go, well, that's just there for somebody to know that it's not a 10, it's just a 1. Nowadays, when we know that coffee can be affected even just in the slightest micron change, then we need to be teaching everybody to think about coffee in microns. I don't understand why it's so hard. If you can have the ability to put a number on there, why you can't just say it's the difference in the micron size. Maybe the calculations, the formulas don't work across every single grinder in the burr sets. I'm not an engineer. I'd love for somebody to pop a comment in the section below and tell me why it isn't more common that people are using microns as in terms of the recipes. But it's so frustrating when you have customers come in and they want their coffee ground and they just say, I want it at 2.9. And you're like, well, even 2.9 on the same grinder that was done a month or two ago after we've cleaned it and recalibrated and put the burrs back in alignment, it's going to be a very slight difference, because if they came towards just before we cleaned it, those burrs have adjusted. They just do slip over time. That just happens. And then you're going to have to change it. So 2.9 does not mean 2.9 2 months ago. It does not mean 2.9 in 2 months' time. It's really frustrating that we aren't just using a universal metric to measure everything again. I guess it's like having a set of scales that just give you an arbitrary number instead of the grammage. And easier it is that we use, okay, 20 grams of this. Okay, sure, maybe it's not 21 grams. That doesn't make a huge amount of difference. But it's not just put in 2 or 4 of that. Like, that makes it a lot harder. And I just don't understand why that isn't a bigger thing. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you like these videos, give it a thumbs up as well. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe as well. Thanks a lot, you bloody legend. Now, it also has a rangefinder. So when you start adjusting the grind a lot more than just a couple of clicks, then it will actually jump into a rangefinder where it will show you what range your grind is currently in. And that might be espresso, mocha pot, filter, cold brew, whatever. That's helpful if you are using this as a multi-purpose burr, because the dial is so tiny, you're going to do a considerable amount of revolutions just to change it from your espresso to your filter. And it's nice to know where that is in terms, not just the number, but also to know, okay, now I'm in the range that has sort of typically been known to be the range for filter coffee. So it's a really handy thing as well. And the other ability that I haven't seen on other grinders a lot, other than your Mythos ones here, and there's a few other ones coming out now that also have this ability as well. This particular grinder now has the ability to save your recipe. You can put all of that information into the grinder itself and store it there for when you come back to that coffee in a couple of months' time, or maybe even just a couple of days' time. You can put in there the grind number, you can put in there the weight, you can put in the dose in and the dose out, even the time of the extraction, all of that useful information that you might need when you come back to that coffee. Doesn't weigh in or weigh out the coffee, so you don't actually know what you're putting in, but it's still a timed-based doser. You don't need to worry about that, but at least if you are coming back to that recipe, there's a place that it's actually stored rather than having to scribble it down on a notepad or store it elsewhere. I think it's a pretty handy little thing. And with the ability to now to use so many different coffees, and I guess with the range of coffees available to all home baristas now, it's not uncommon that you've got 3 or 4 coffees going at the same time and you want to just bring them up each day and taste them, or you've got a filter coffee, you've got a light roast or a dark roast. So all of those different types of coffees, now you can save some of that information into the grinder itself. So when it comes back to grinding, you can really hone in on that information and use that to help you get a better cup. Now, I'm sure all of this extra software tech is going to add a bit, and I don't think this is going to be the same price as your other Specialitas. It's going to be a little bit more, I would say probably $100 more, maybe $200 more, although then that's pushing it up there quite a bit. I think this is going to be the first grinder that's going to have this sort of software, and then they're going to roll it out on some of the others. And I'm pretty excited to see what Eureka do, because they are fantastic grinders. All of them are great. Actually, we spent so much time focusing on the coffee machine and all the tech that it comes with, the pre-infusion, the PID, all of the abilities on the coffee machine. We're just using the software tech to correct our mistakes that we're making on the grinder. Now that we're focusing more on the grinder and starting to pay a bit more attention to the grind settings, I think we're going to overall see a better result, especially because when you get your grind ready, then all the puck preparation is easier, and then your extraction is going to be easier. Everything is going to be easier. From this, it's like a flow-on effect, and that's just exciting in itself. And I'm really excited to see where Eureka go with the rest of this tech. And there's one final update to the Specialita, which I have to talk about, which is not a huge thing. It's just that the cradle for the portafilter now can be adjusted up and down just by turning it with your hands instead of having to get a screwdriver or an Allen key. I don't know why, but they haven't done that with the ability to remove the hopper and the burrs when you want to clean out the burr set, because that's behind the logo on the back. You have to take that off to reveal a hidden screw there, then to release it. I would think you should make that a little bit more user-friendly, just so that you can get into that to clean out your burrs more regularly, because I feel like that's something that's getting forgotten about way more than your position of your cradle of your portafilter. And really, like, how often are you going to need to change that? You're probably going to change it once or twice when you first set up your portafilter, and maybe between a naked and a spouted one, you might have a slightly different size there, but majority of you are never going to really have to adjust that, but you are going to want to clean your burrs out every couple of weeks. So why not have that be more accessible? I mean, the DF64, which I also did a review on, is fantastic. I think it's one of the best ways to clean your grinds. Literally the collar that adjusts your grind size, just keep spinning until it pops off, and then you can get access to both the front and the back of your burrs. It's super easy, and there's no screwdrivers that you need to use to get into there. And I don't want to badmouth Eureka because they obviously have different priorities, but it would be great to see something similar in their designs moving forward. But, you know, we'll wait and see, I guess. I know how good Eureka grinders are. I think this is going to be a hit with all your home baristas when it comes out, which hopefully we'll have an announcement soon. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you're keen to get this machine. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'm Ryde, your coffee coach, and as always, enjoy your brew.